You're in a grand finals against Vortex. There seems to be no way to stop him, but there's always one solution. Sengoku, your savior in the midst of disaster. Is this going to be good enough to get Wham on the board? Or is Vortex just an unstoppable goat of Age of Empires? Welcome back to the channel, folks. Game number 3 of Grand Final Showdown here. Vortex continuing to defend his championship belt with great ease. The master of KPMM Season 2 looks to extend his lead. 2-0 up already. He picks the Roost on Pigeon's View. But Pigeon's View, also a phenomenal map for this new civ. Sengoku Daimyo from Wham, and a bloody good spawn at that. Gets the berries, the tree line. Doesn't get the gold, admittedly, but that's fine. And we already have Yatai's hitting the field. This feels really good against Roost, actually, because like Roost, they will build knights. That'll be annoying down the line, but your Dark Age is as safe as can be. It's not really a civ that's going to Dark Age rush you. So you get to move your Yatais out and maximize your food straight away. Interestingly, he didn't pull for the boar at all, though. Why are people pretending Mace and Vikings are at all related? Well, there is the idea that the Macedonian dynasty hired the mercenary Vikings that did what they did, the Varangian Guard, etc. So at least has that crude relation. But also, like, the problem is they're probably going to choose to call them Vikings. But we also have to remember that, like, Vikings, when they existed as Vikings, is substantially out of the timeline period of AoE4, which people are always nitpicking about. Personally, like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at the point where, like, if you can find a good way of making these civilizations that are hundreds of years apart clash and it not feel, like, giga silly, then I'd rather you do that. You know, like, obviously it'd be very hard to have the US modern army versus the Romans and it look close. One has a gun. But, like, if you can create a justifiable system where, like, the Roman legions fighting, you know, French makes sense and looks cool, I'm for it. I'd rather have that over, we must align the time periods correctly. That's kind of like, I don't care. I'd rather just have the cowboys versus dinosaurs situation. But obviously in a balanced, realistic standpoint. So Golden Gate now on the way. Presumably we're getting pro scouts anyway. Aston is still 80% Viz. If you like look at it from a very linear like scope of how they look, even then I think you're saying like 70%. Because the architecture is the same, I agree. But the unit types, are you kidding me? Atgemafa, Bogmafa, Vridari, Varangian Guard even having a different role. Like, you got 3 unique units, actually more than that, haven't you? I don't know if that's fair to say like it's 80% Viz. It's the recycling of like the landmarks that makes you feel like it's 80%. But that just goes a long way to proving that the visuals are actually a huge amount of how people judge games. Take it from someone who's coded their dissertations around like AI and pathfinding solutions. I made this elaborate AI that was learning and doing different things and reacting to each other. But literally for the assets, all of them were just pills. And what you realize when you do that is basically without you adding in audio and imagery, to the casual viewer, it just looks like a bunch of stupid capsules rubbing up against each other. Whereas when you look at the back code, it's really intriguing. But like from a viewer's perspective, you know, having unique looking architecture is a huge part. Did that for my dissertation? Yep, pathfinding and AI solutions. I don't know if my blog post still exists on it actually. But we basically had like a kind of RTS scene we created in Unity, and we used, what was it called? God, I haven't talked about it in such a long time. It's a utility-based AI solution. So the whole idea is that your AI had desires it wanted to fulfill, and then it would choose how to fulfill those behaviors. It's actually a really good model for most AI solutions in video games because it's very resource efficient. The whole idea is you basically have like a base default rate, an additive, and a multiplier effect, and those get applied to the different desires, like desire to run away, desire to fight, desire to eat, desire to take a giant crap, desire to kick W in chat, you know. And yeah, we used a lot of A-Star. And then I started also on the mesh, start using 3D meshes, which are pretty intriguing. Anyway, no doubt over. Yari cavalry coming. Da, 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 da. We did talk about this full gold being annoying, but like that's the beauty of Wham just now playing into feudal. He doesn't need that much gold. Vortex Pro Scouts has now completed. Has got the Wooden Fortress coming in. Even snuck the hunting cabins are a little bit around the side to get a bit of extra trimming here and efficiency. Deer already on the way home. Cool thing about playing Pro Scouts into this is it also just stops the value of your ties as the game goes on. And clever? Whoa, I wouldn't go that far. I'm a very good Googler. After opening up some scripting again recently, I realize it's even easier now if you if you're a good Googler, then you can be a good chat GPTer, which is something I had ignored for years. No, I need to do. I just need to get myself some script goblins that make scripts for me. That's the real play. So Yari plus Yumi, pretty much the expected. Vortex forced this as well by opening spears, which he was going to need to get the Pro Scout play back anyway. Presumably, now the goal is just to get castle. Unless he wants to add in knights. You can, but the problem is that with the grenades that the shinobi fire at you, it's a very easy way of just sniping out knights because of the way it scales base damage on nearby units. Like, if you get hit by a grenade and you're a knight, even a Yumi hurts. It's such a weird polarizing experience, actually, compared to... Like, I think a lot of people fell victim to it so easily because of what you're used to from Yumi with Japan. Like, oh yeah, it's a worse archer. But when you add in the ninjas, it's a substantially better archer. Grenades coming in. Does have to duck and run, though. Can't take the deer home. It's easy to have AI write the code. It's hard to find the nuclear bomb that AI put in the code randomly. True. Well, that just comes down... Like, that's... I think that, once again, to a certain extent, comes down to, like, how you understand coding principles and then the task you give it. Like, if you ask it to write you an entire program, then you're going to get a lot of issues. If you ask it to create a subsystem, you can at least quickly kind of decipher that subsystem. And AI is for sure lazy. Like, for example, when I've had it write some scripts, things like having a timer variable that you obviously like know as a human being, you're probably going to have that be a variable at the top that you could alter because you might reference it for multiple timers. It'll instead be like, yeah, we're just going to put the number into the command, which is really inefficient. Okay, so Sengoku's going castle. They are going to be second to do it. High Trade House is already coming through. It's a decent one. Get your numbers in. Not as deep as it would have liked to have been. And it is going to be double archery. Triple archery, in fact. So horse archer spam to begin. But this is going to be Mount Samurai. And that can be a bit scary against Sengoku because of the estates. The estates, remember, the Takeda, just level 1 is all it takes to get this horse training movement speed, allowing you to have super speed Mount Samurai. Wham. It doesn't even start its deck up, actually. A little bit of a mismatch on the food versus gold. There should be Sake Brewery because we like winning games. Right? Right? Yeah, we love winning games. Wahoo! Seriously, this is like one of the best landmarks in AoE4. It's hard to get much better than that thing. Jeez. At least for Castle. High Trade House. 96 gold a minute. Not that good. Yeah, especially for the map like Pigeon's View. Typically you see a lot higher. And there's the horse training we mentioned before. Actually, this is kind of more interesting. I thought he'd just straight up go Mount Samurai, but I don't disagree with this idea. He's just Yariing. Yari Cavalry makes a lot of sense here because your opponent's just raw horse archery. Even though mounted samurai technically do better against horse archers than they used to, this is even more efficient. That's sick. So presumably we get veterancy queued up soon. Right, he's going to complete the tech up and then pretty much should have what he needs within, I say, 30 seconds. Trade-off, of course, is Vortex is going to be first to Relics now because of that. First one already coming home. How's the Sake Brewery compared to a Manticore? Oh, it's insane. Like, when you cap this thing out, each villager gathering on this is worth, like, an extra 100 gold per minute. And Mance is worth 2 workers, you know? So if you're getting, like, double the efficiency out of your workers by them being on this, it is definitely better. And it's infinite gold. Just like a Mance. So, like, it matches up in that standard as well. In fairness, it should be better, right? Like, Manticore is a tier 2 landmark. That's a tier 3. Pro Scout's still doing things. Night Switch coming in from Vortex. So he noticed the Horseman count. I think Wham maybe gave away his strategy a little bit. Are we looking at Matsuri count? That's pretty bad. Yeah, we're only at like 2 so far. Because did he play 3? No, he stopped at 4 Yatai. So he should have more coming back soonish. Nice walling. Wow, I'm just securing as much food as possible. This is always the awkward thing with Yatai. You eat the food and then you get less passive food. It just... You know when you have things in the games like, this is self-griefing. It feels like self-griefing, doesn't it? Just creeping in the stealth forest, by the way. We have got a spear switch on the way for Vortex. Actually, just temporary while he pads himself. Technically, Knight should just be the win. Shinobi, though. Oh, the surround! Nani? He catches him. He needs to follow up, though. Frags do clip again. Maim slows all of them, if it slows any. Yari, here we get some good hits in here, but really not as good of an exchange as you'd like to see. Yeah, considering that was a full ninja surround, Vortex came out of that relatively unscathed. You can see it on the bodies as well as an even exchange. Maybe a slight advantage for Wham, but for a ninja timing, that was nowhere near good enough. You'd expect a lot more wipe. That was kind of crazy. Yari not able to clutch up as big as Wham was hoping. The Relic game continues to sliver towards Vortex's camp. Third Relic now up here. We'll have to duck and run. Already camping the south side, so we'll guarantee a third here at least. Ikko Ikki monks are now coming in, so Wham will be looking to finally get some of his own. But this rate, it feels like 1, if you're lucky, 2 relics are attainable. Wham doesn't even know where this relic is, by the way. Vortex has scouted it. What are we missing? He's now going for the Mountain Samurai. We are going to get this. So the reason why Yari Cavalry should have been a genius move, even though it doesn't feel like it so far, is specifically against horse archers, guys. They get the range damage bonus and the cavalry damage bonus. So instead of doing 22 damage like a horseman normally would, he's going to be doing 25. Soon it's going to be 27. Which means you're hitting as hard as mounted samurai do. But you're paying a lot less, right? It's 145 instead of 240. It's a cool idea. And I guess with the tier 2 tech, the Takeda clan's techs, it allows you to trade a bit better into knights. The other cool thing here is he did just inflate the health pool of them again by another 5%. So you can see the pony's getting pretty tanky, up to 192 HP with veterancy. And he's padding it. Tatara as well. Also, keep in mind the daimyo effect is huge. Daimyo seems to be a little bit clunky when it comes to buffing range units because of the animation locks. But melee always tends to benefit from almost, if not the entire percentile scaling. So it's a 15% attack speed buff, which is pretty damn big on the Yari cavalry unit that already had such high base attack. And a long wind up between the shots. Wow. He thinks twice, like, wait, no. That army is much bigger right now. Backs away. Have defenders advantage for the next engagement. Coffee Township is ready to roll. So Shinobi ambush could be underway shortly. This will be the moment of the backstab. And there we go. Gets him from behind. Grenades thrown out. Only gets one volley, though. Vortex, no panic there. Immediately snipes out the ninjas. And wham, just a bit too ambitious there. Trusting in them to kind of hold on their own. He'll be able to push through now. But the Knights, boys' fortitude, pretty good front line here. Yari try to dive past. Means the Knights just get to stand still and club them down, but they are left behind to deal with a few mad samurai. Vortex, second wave arrives now. I think Wham is looking a bit cooked here. It just doesn't feel like he's getting that count. You need like 20 Yari here. Vortex keeps forcing fights just before it. Double Sacred Sight now locked in. He's even thinking about raiding, something that horse archers are pristine for. Especially when you do not have textiles. Great micro gets two instead of one worker. That's a force to fight in the choke point. Problematic, means Wham can't actually use his mass melee. Kind of overwhelmed. It's good cover fire from Vortex. Milking the engagements, making sure that he's giving as good as he's getting. He's got the Warrior Monk buff there as well to make it easier for horse archers to deal with Cav. Just every time it feels like Wham's about to even up on the military, he ends up taking a bad exchange towards the end because health bars don't look pretty. And you know, at some point, you're going to have to leave. Like, that's the thing against range. They're always waiting for that moment. If you can't break them, you will have to turn, and then you'll lose another 2 or 3 units when you do so. Especially against a player of this caliber. Just cleanly played. Vortex. Wave after wave coming, man. He's just not running out of food. Creeping out to the berry, so we're starting to reach the point where you'd have to contemplate a farm switch, but he's padding it instead. He's going for the ball. A ball that Wham needed. That's from the high snipe. Wham has at least got his own deer and berries to play with a bit here, but he's starting to feel like he's going to run out of food first. Which is concerning considering how food dominant his composition is. Right. Vortex always slim on that front line. It's not a bad thing here. Shinobi seemingly wasted. Is there a world in which he goes for tier 3? Not in a rush here. Could be sick if your opponent ever went infantry. This is the weird thing. Mad Samurai Dachi sounds pretty gigabuster, getting bonus damage against infantry with your knights, but if your opponent's only playing cavalry, it's pointless. And no, Wham still hasn't scouted the relic in the corner. You do have the food switch, your Thai farm gatherer coming in, so he's going to start buffing up his food income with the farms from the Thais. Continues to buff up his lead. Look at this military count. It's a 2-to-1 almost. Yari, they go for the surround though. He tries to pull a vortex. Horse archers do get caught. Knights are panning against the chase though. He sneaks out like a slivery snake. And the Yari burning a lot of time dealing with the knights. Too much time is starting to feel like. Surely, if he could just reach them. Horse archers are starting to get caught a bit. But you're seeing how that boy's fortitude makes a hella load of difference. Wham. Has he got the ninjas? They're still on cooldown. Remember, this got nerfed hard. 120-second cooldown. About a third quarter uptime. Like, it's not what it was. You don't have the constant threat that Sengoku once did. And Vortex has been optimizing around that fact. Always forcing these fights, always edging towards them before it would be available again, before it would give Wham that comeuppance, that moment of reprieve, maybe that opportunity to win a fight. And the crazy thing is, Wham, he has the destroyed value advantage, but the problem here is, let's look at the economy. Vortex can afford to lose on that slightly. He's winning on the raw income numbers. And the interesting part is that's with minimum raid damage done, really. On a map that Horse Archers should be able to just milk kills left, right, and center, he hasn't needed them to take that advantage. Takeaway is Horse Archer still OP. The takeaway is Vortex still OP. Multiple matchups where he's in a weird bind, he's managed to just middle finger it and say no. Like this right here, this guy is the person to beat in Age of Empires 4. He's the toughest cookie to crack. Wham has one more punt at this. And it really feels like an all-in send on Yari this time around. My concern is now going to be there's a switch. Vortex has crept this out on him unknown. Quad, make that 5 Raxes. Mass Spearman now on the way. If Wham doesn't get a sniff of this soon, he won't have time to react. Even if he does, the micro requirement for him in these fights is going to be a lot higher. Wham does see the first wave, does get a glance at the Spearman now. The question is, what can you do? Because what he doesn't realize just yet is it's already 14 spears. Vortex is done giving time. He's here to end this. To be the Time Lord. The Lord of all. Marches straight in, goes after the houses, tries to burn him out. Pop block effect. Wham. Still just more Yari. That's not going to work against these spears, though. Burning under the stables. Yari. Go for the backstab. But the spears, they've been hiding in there. It's like kangaroos duplicate as they hop out of the pockets. Grenades come out, but the horse touch is untouched. Knights move a little bit closer to hug. Yari try to break through, but it's just not working. It's not going to be enough. He hides deeper in Wham's own base. This is ridiculous. Half the Yari already dead. The rest are going to melt. And Vortex is unstoppable. 3-0 up, 1 away from another clean sweep, and showing you that Sengoku is not to be feared. You know, if you happen to be Vortex and micro like a god and play AoE4 like a god, basically play perfect Age of Empires 4 and you're fine.